Hi, guys. Welcome to this week's episode of Enlightened Investments. We're going to be doing a special episode today. We're going to be talking a little bit about addiction and how just becoming more aware of yourself and deepening your understanding of self, which is a part of your spiritual journey, definitely contributes to the process of recovery. And today we have.
My name is Wu. I go by Ivory though, and I am 33 years old from Dallas, Texas. And I don't know, I'm a jack of all trades, you could say.
All right, Wu. So first question I'm going to ask you, what was your substance of choice and how long have you been in recovery?
Well, I actually had two. It was bars, handlebars, Xanax, you could call them, and alcohol. And I've been free from bars for about a little over 2 years now. And alcohol, this is actually my 94th day.
Well, congratulations. You're almost to 100 days alcohol free. That's a blessing. So let's talk about bars since you've been clean from bars for 2 years. For those of you who don't know what bars is, again, it's Xanax pills. People call them bars because they look like little bars. Um, Talk a little bit about the height of your addiction to bars and the problems that it caused you and why you decided to give them up ultimately.
Okay, well, in college is really when it kind of started. It started kind of like as recreational. I had a girlfriend that was actually prescribed bars. And so I didn't really know about like mental health or really what bars was really for. But then my major became psychology. So when my major became psychology and her being prescribed bars and we was taking it recreational, even though she had to take them every day, I didn't know how addictive they were. I didn't know like what they was prescribed for or anything like that. I was just under impression that they was prescribed her for her bipolar. And so in the midst of me taking them for recreational use, my major changed to psychology. So I learned more about them and what they was for anxiety. And I ended up going to therapy in college with one of my professors and, kind of learning that I was self-medicating because I didn't even know I had anxiety myself. So when she told me I was self-medicating, I guess I thought it was okay. You know what I mean? So my recreational use became a coping mechanism. So it became like, oh, I'll take them on the weekends. I'll pop them before class or before a presentation just to calm my nerves. And so I became in college is not really where my addiction started, but that's where I was introduced to them. So after college, I moved back home to Dallas and my weed man actually had them. He had them to sell. So I'm like, okay, well, by that time I'm buying them on my own, not nobody's prescription, but I'm buying them on my own. And and so when I left college also, my drinking picked up. And so I'm gonna stick to the bars first though. So the bars, in the height of my addiction, I wrecked 3 of my cars, like totaled them out. I went to jail all 3 times, but by the grace of God, I never got a DUI or a DWI or anything like that. But I did go to jail for damage of property. And so, and for marijuana, which was in my car. And so, I went to jail 3 times and wrecking my cars. I was like, you would think that's enough. Like, dang, I wreck a car, get a new car, wreck that car, get a new car. Like this is all within a 2-year span of me leaving college in 2014. So this is 2015, 2016, 2017. They all happened in March of 2015, 2016, 17. Like like, and so I was working as a teacher, so it always happened. It was like my height was during spring break. So all of my recs happened during spring break. All of my jail time happened during spring break. And so um, you would think like, dang, like you like I put the correlation together that, okay, bars and driving, I'm wrecking cars. So stop driving while you're taking bars. But I never thought about like, stop taking bars. I'm like, just don't drive and take them. So I would, I just wouldn't drive and take them until eventually it got to the point where my drinking. So it wasn't like just necessarily me thinking about the bar use or whatever, but me adding liquor to the bars. It became situations where, well, that's what contributed to my wrecks, and and it just really became a problem for me, honestly, like overall, like in my everyday life. And so the drinking, well, I put the bars down. I put the bars down because I was like, okay, well, it's kind of really like my life is falling apart because of these bars. Like I'm in and out of jail. I'm missing days of work. Um, and people just think it's just alcohol, because they don't even know I'm taking bars. So none of my parents or nobody knew. Like they like, dang, you just like you really like you just stay drunk. Like even the officers, like they just didn't know it was bars, but I knew it was. So I was like, I really just got sick and tired of it. And so I was like, all right, I'm put the bars down. But then my drinking, like it heightened, like my drinking got worse. And so with the drinking, I necessarily like wasn't wrecking my cars or anything like that, but my relationships, like my personal relationships with people around me, it started just diminishing. Like it just started like my drinking became toxic to all of my relationships around me. And so that was an eye opener for me, because I saw people that I really like loved and thought I was doing the best I can, but I couldn't put down a bottle to save my relationships with the people around me. And so that was kind of awareness for me that, I wouldn't have healthy relationships if I continued to drink, and I refuse to ruin any more relationships because of alcohol. So that's
Nice.
kind
So that was a lot that made you kind of see that you need to get out of addiction. How many bars were you taking like in a day or in a week?
I really was taking them like by the halves. I couldn't, my body, I'm small, so my body can't handle a whole. So it's kind of like, how people do with shrooms, like microdosing. Like I would take like a half, I would take like a fourth, but I never I knew you could black out on them. So I would just microdose. Like I wake up in the morning, take a fourth.
Oh, you're breaking up. I don't know what happened to your signal.
Then by the evening time, I probably took like 3 seconds. Oh, it's still breaking up.
Say something?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Um, okay, that makes sense. I know a lot of people who did that, who used to do bars, because those pills are kind of big and that's a lot. I've been always kind of afraid to experiment with pills like that just because I know people who was on pills real bad, and I just experienced horrible things with adults on pills as a child. So that's not ever been my jam, but I know people who used to take those pills, and they take like a little piece and then they'll drink or smoke or whatever the case may be. And like that'll elevate it, I guess. And then they'll take more later on down the day or the next day or whatever the case may be. So it's good that she wasn't just taking pills on pills on pills, but still in combination with drinking, I'm sure you had a lot of moments where you blacked out. You probably didn't know what you said, didn't know what you did, didn't know what happened. So that definitely
Right,
is kind of like a recipe to wake up, because you start to lose time and it's just like, what am I doing? Um
right. And that was like one thing, like I was saying, I was taking them recreational with my girlfriend, but what actually made me buy them on my own, now that I remember, it was because I played basketball in college and I had an ACL injury. And so in rehab, coming back from my ACL surgery, I was like a week before I come back. And everybody know like an ACL surgery is kind of like a year recovery, but like they put me on this fast speed, like 6 month recovery at LSU. And um and so I was like a week to come back, and then I ended up breaking my nose. And so it was kind of devastating for me. Like I was like very like it devastated me because I was looking forward to coming back and everybody looking forward to me getting back on the court, and then I break my nose. So I go to the hospital for my nose, and he's like, I don't care what medication I give you, nothing's gonna take that pain away. So in my head, I like, I know something that's gonna take that pain away. And I took a bar. Like that was like my first time buying a bar on my own. And it took the pain away. Like he was right. Nothing he gave me took the pain away, but the bar did. And that was really kind of like the start of like my addiction, honestly, because it was like it took the pain away. And it took the pain physically and it took the pain emotionally of what I was going through, because my feelings was hurt that like I wouldn't get back on the court. And that was like really like the end of my basketball career, because that was my fourth year. That was my senior year. And so yeah, it was just a lot of emotions tied with the bar. So
that makes sense. I think a lot of people miss the fact that like physical pain does take an emotional toll, especially if it's just like constant pain that you can't do nothing about, like when you break something or tear something, or when you have a tooth that you can't get taken care of, like, or nerve pain, like that stuff is constant. It's every day. You wake up in pain, you go to sleep in pain. When you move, you're in pain. You can't do certain things because it hurts. And these are things that normal people do every day, or like able, fully well, healthy people do every day, that you feel like you should be able to do, but you can't without being in pain. And that definitely does take an emotional toll. I don't think a lot of people really put that together all the time unless it's brought up in conversation. Can you talk a little bit about how you felt emotionally going through that, not only taking the loss because the pain and the injury was tied to something that you love, something that you saw yourself doing forever, and at a pivotal point in your basketball career, you had to sit out. So that's a loss in and of itself, even without the physical pain, but the physical pain on top of that, like emotionally, how did you feel? Did you feel lost? Were you overwhelmed? Did you feel like you didn't have the support that you needed? Were you not asking for help? Like, where were you emotionally speaking?
Um, I can say I was lost. Like I didn't know anything but basketball. I didn't love anything but basketball. So it really felt like a death, like really a death to me, because I didn't know. I never thought about like what if basketball was taken away from me? What was I gonna do? I really was only in college because of basketball. So my classes really didn't matter to me. My major really didn't matter to me, but it did make me, I guess, focus more on psychology, because I was like going through it. Like I was like not only going through it physically in my body, like just kind of just shutting down on me, but I was going through it mentally because I didn't know what I was feeling. I didn't know how to express it. I didn't know if anybody would understand. Like I
Mhm.
didn't know I didn't know what I was supposed to do or what people expected from, like I knew, all I knew is what people expected from me from basketball. I didn't know what people expected from me outside of basketball. I don't think I knew what I expected from myself. And so during that time, like losing basketball, it was like I had it was nothing I can do but like kind of do some soul searching. And the soul searching, like that honestly was harder than basketball. Like it literally was just another level of like trauma. And so like it was like I actually just had to deal with my trauma. Um that I guess I had been avoiding because basketball filled that void. Basketball made me happy. Basketball made me forget about my problems. So I really was lost. Like I don't know. It turned into a spiral that turned me to like drugs and alcohol, like bars and alcohol. It literally like it was depressing, honestly.
I can definitely understand that. Just at a surface level, because we'll get into it a little bit deeper later. What role would you say that spirituality has played in helping you to overcome addiction and lean into personal transformation?
I would say it's the biggest role because like in my addiction and in the height of my addiction, I didn't have hope or I didn't think I was able like believing in a higher power made me believe in myself. So like it's the belief in just knowing like you're not alone and you can do it because I feel like in your addiction you feel hopeless, like you feel helpless and you feel like you notice yourself going down a spiral, but you don't think it's nothing that can stop it or nobody that can stop it. And so with my journey and my spirituality and my shadow work, I kind of realized that like I have the power, you know what I mean? Like I have the power to make or break my life. And I was choosing to break it by drinking, but I can make it by literally like just knowing that it's a power stronger than me. Like it's a being like that can, like that's gonna help you through it. You just gotta believe. And so literally like my faith is what has kept me going and my faith is what gives me hope.
Man, that's powerful because I've been talking a lot about faith and I just keep getting these messages that like I need to be speaking about it and not like preaching about it because I don't want to be on nobody's pulpit, but I just feel like in the world that we live in, faith is really a lost concept. Everybody wants instant gratification. So it's no like believing. It's like I gotta see to believe in like faith and obedience will push you through every single time. Like I've had so many times when I should have been dead. I should have been homeless. I should have been alone, busted, and disgusted, but I was not because of my faith, because of my obedience, because of grace and mercy. And I cannot deny that. I don't care what nobody say. Like you just, it is what it
You're
is.
like,
You know,
no, like
like
and that's perfect how you said that because that's really how I felt like looking back on my addiction. Like there's times where I got pulled over by the police, but I could have killed somebody. Like I could have killed myself. Like it could have been so many different ways that it went, and it didn't. Like God really had grace on me that it didn't go that way. Like I could be in jail for manslaughter, homicide, and I couldn't even remember it. Imagine being in jail for something you don't even remember like or that guilt, like you know what I mean. And so I would go to jail, and I literally, I kid you not, the last time I went to jail, I saw this girl. Like this was like the longest I've been in jail because I had failed my drug test, so they put me in there over the weekend, and it was kind of like a 3-day weekend, so you ain't gonna see nobody till Tuesday. So that was had only been in jail for like 24 hours. This particular time, it must have been like Memorial Day or Labor Day or something. So I was in there like Friday, and I was in there Monday. And I said, oh no. But anyways, it was this girl that I went to high school with her. I didn't really know her like that, but I had heard the story of like mind you, I'm talking to her. I don't know who she is, but when she told me why she's in jail, it's because she ended up like how kids be outside, like want you to buy something for their football team, holding up sign. The kids was outside Walmart holding up sign for their football team, and she accidentally hit and killed one of the little boys. And she was intoxicated, and she was looking at life, and it was really a wake-up call. I felt bad for her, honestly, because she really couldn't remember, like, like it was so many people around. They pulled out the car, and the dads and everybody, they just started beating her up. But she was so out of it, she didn't know what she had did. But she's sitting in jail. She's sitting in jail for the rest of her life. And that was the last time I went to jail. That was the last time I vowed I would be in there. And like, it was just really just like one of those situations, like, man, that could have been me.
Mm-hmm. And that was God sending you that girl to tell her story to you so you could see that could have been you for sure. So yeah, faith, man, faith and obedience is very powerful, probably the most powerful thing. People don't even really see that. So I'm glad you said that because I just feel like I keep on bringing that message up time and time again. So it's good that it's coming up again in this interview.
And I don't have like I didn't grow up with like parents that was like, my parents, they're a pastor, and my mom, she's a pastor wife, but I'm adopted. So I grew up to where I couldn't take medication as a kid. Like, so my pain tolerance is pretty high. I didn't know why I couldn't take medication, but if I had an earache, I couldn't take medication. I couldn't take Tylenol. Like, I couldn't take any type of medication because of being born with the addictive trait. And so I didn't know, you know what I mean? Like, I think if somebody would explain to me, like, I guess maybe in high school before I went to college, like, okay, well, when they say you got an addictive trait or when you couldn't take medicine, it was because of A, B, and C or whatever, like your mom, she was an addict. So that trait, even though like, it's like taking somebody out of that environment, they don't take the trait out of them. They don't take the trait out of them. And so, but I got to. Okay. Yeah, I feel like if I would have known, come on. Hello, lady. Hey. You did. I don't know what you're talking. No problem. You have a great weekend. The receipt is in the bag. But yeah, if somebody would explain, I'm sorry about that. If somebody would have explained to me thoroughly that, that my addiction was, hereditary, and that the trait ran deep as it did, then I would have known. Like, I didn't grow up around any alcoholics. I never seen an alcoholic. I had never seen somebody that pop pills. So, I was kind of green going to college. Like, I was really green because I had no clue about it, not knowing how things can be addictive and all that. So it was a lot. It was a lot of learning in the process, honestly, like self-learning.
That's crazy. So I did not know that. And I feel like maybe that's something that a lot of people don't really think about. If you were born to someone who was an addict, you will automatically have an addictive personality, which means if you try some shit 8 times out of 10, you're gonna get addicted to it. You're gonna want to keep going back for it and back for it. And it's not even just drugs. It can be food, it can be women, it can be anything, working out, like anything. If you try it and you like it, you're gonna be obsessed with it and want to do it all the time. So that is something to be aware of, because when you catch yourself and then you can kind of rein it in versus not being aware and thinking it's normal because you've never experienced it before. So that's deep. Like, that's crazy. I really feel like a lot of people don't even think about that unless they grew up in that setting,
All right, because you meet people that grew up in that setting, so they vow like, oh, I'll never pick up a drink or I'll never do this. But then you have people that, you know what I mean, like I didn't grow up in that setting. And if somebody would have just told me, instead of saying I have an addictive personality, like would have told me how far it went or how, like, because I have a biological sister and she don't have that addictive trait, like not at all. And we got the same mom, but she don't have that trait at all, like at all. And it's just crazy because I do, you know what I mean? And so my mom did, you know what I mean? But like, and even my biological sister, she has a son that has my sister hasn't did a drug in her life, but her son, like, because I was born with drugs in my system, like I had like a speech impediment. So I had to go to speech therapy. I had to have um plugs in my ears so I could hear. I had a what they call it, a cleft plate, palate, and all this type of things that I didn't know. And I'm just finding this out within this year, looking at my adoption paperwork. But my nephew, who is my sister that I didn't meet till I was 19, her son had all that, all those same traits. And it's just so crazy how DNA work and how genetics work. Like it's crazy, crazy. And I'm
It
pretty sure he
is.
probably got an addictive trait too. And his mom ain't never did a drug in her life. But it just, you know.
It's genetic, it's hereditary. I think a lot of people don't realize the importance of preserving your bloodline, especially us Black people, because we never really got the opportunity to do it. Like our ancestors didn't get the opportunity to do it. So we just had to survive with what we could. And, that's what we've continued to do. But that stuff runs deep. It definitely does. It runs deep in my family. And it runs deep, obviously, in your family. And I'm sure there are people who gonna watch this and it runs deep in their families too. I'm not saying that just because your parents are addicted to substances, that means you're gonna be addicted to substances. But if you do have an addictive trait, medically speaking, you need to be careful because it can turn from 0 to 100 very quickly. And I will even say, from an astrological perspective, Pisces have addictive personalities. It's easier for them to fall into addiction than any other sign because they're made up of all water. So they're just going to flow into the experience, whether they're flowing upstream or downstream, they don't care. They're flowing. So,
Right.
so that whole it just runs deep. I'm glad you brought that up because I just feel like that's not something that people think of right off the bat. And kids are being pretty much told at this day and age that it's cool to do drugs. It's cool to take pills. It's cool to get high. It's cool to get fucked up and drink all day and curse everybody out. And it's just like, these things are cool until they're not.
Right.
So
Right. No,
we
for
gotta
real.
kind of start, as our generation is coming of age, I think we need to start setting a better example. I think a lot of responsibility was put on us as young people. Our parents were working, some of them were stressed out, and so they couldn't work, and so they were in their own addictions, and they had their own traumas because their parents weren't emotionally available to them, because their parents don't know how to be emotionally available. They wasn't raised like that. So it's just like, we're just like, we gonna have fun, we gonna be free, we gonna do what we gonna do. And that's cute. But the
Only for so
children are
long.
declining. And I
Right.
find that that's unacceptable. We have too much knowledge at this point for the children to be on a decline as far as intellect and wisdom are concerned. There's no reason for it. So
Not at all.
something definitely to be aware of. You answered my next question. I was going to ask you to share a pivotal moment when you felt a profound connection to your spiritual self and how it impacted your path to recovery. But I feel like when you have that moment with that girl in jail and you vowed to yourself that you wasn't going back to jail, that's probably when you fully decided, like, I need to leave these bars alone. And if I'm not going to leave bars alone, I at least need to stop driving intoxicated. So
Yeah. It
that
definitely
is
was
a
a jelly.
moment.
Like I'm the type of person, I don't know, like if I have like a bad experience with something, like that be my lesson learned. Like I ain't, yeah, if it's something nasty, I'm not eating it no more. Like if it's something like I'm gonna always remember that experience to where it's gonna stick with me, like to like, nah, I ain't doing it ever again. And so some people call it learning the hard way, but I call it like it just be learning as you go. Like some things, some people just can't tell you when you get it. Like I had to knock my head a couple of times, and when that knock came, like, oh, okay, yeah, that stove hot over there. So let me down ahead. Yeah, let me
Yeah,
down here and try something else.
that'll do it. That'll definitely do it. Okay, so my next question, how do you feel like your spiritual beliefs or your practices or even your faith just kind of help you find strength and resilience during challenging times? Because let's just be honest, it's easy to fall into addiction because we all self-medicate. What are we self-medicating from? It's all different, right? But we're all self-medicating, whether we're trying to get away from trauma, whether we're stressed out because we've had a bad day, whether we just want to be distracted and we don't want to deal with the world and the weight of the world, whether we want to escape reality. We're all trying to get away from something. So when you've had a challenging day, when you're frustrated, when you want to break down and cry, when you want to curse everybody out, when you feel alone, what is it that really pulls you in? And not just in terms of like belief, you can speak to that, but practices, like what are you doing?
Um, Well, what I've learned is like showering, like as soon as like, you get home, like washing, like literally like washing the day away, or even in the shower, whatever your emotion, like if I feel like crying, cry. If I feel mad, like try to assess why I'm mad. If I'm triggered, like try to figure out what triggered me. And it's really me, like with my addiction, I was like trying not to be mad or trying not to be hurt, or it was really trying to numb the feelings that I genuinely had towards situations or things that whether I could change it or not, I didn't want to feel the way I felt. So it's more so showering helps, even riding in silence. Like I really don't listen to music as much as I used to because it's like, I don't know, riding in silence help as well because like I can actually like recap my day. I can actually think like, okay, well, this made me mad because of this, or I'm feeling sad because of this, or just really analyzing my feelings and washing them away once I get home and just kind of resetting. Like meditating has also been something good. Just actually sitting in silence, with nothing on, like no TV, no radio, no nothing, nobody around, and um just really analyzing things for what they are and accepting my feelings for what they are, like not trying to suppress my feelings, not trying to, like, I had it really bad. Like I hated being mad. Like it's just a feeling I just genuinely have always hated. Like, why am I mad? Why am I frustrated? Like, I don't know. I used to always hate that feeling or even being sad. I just hated that feeling. But now I embrace it. Like if I'm mad, be mad. Like, you know what I mean? But like I just give my time like to accept being mad. I say like, let's say, all right, 30 minutes, 10 minutes, or whatever. I just put a timer on it. But I allow myself to go through the emotion, and actually going through the emotion has helped me to analyze, like I can get through it. It's like seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. Like probably an hour ago, I wasn't able to see that my madness was actually going to lead to me being glad again. You know what I mean? But it's really, I would say, riding in silence, analyzing my feelings, and like showering to wash away whatever negativity that has occurred.
Nice. Showering is always cleansing and healing for me. That's what I do when I get really upset and I don't know what else to do. I just go and get in the shower and I just wash everything off. It really does help. Um,
Yeah. If
But
it's
you
real
said,
bad, then I'll sit in the shower. I'll just sit there
yeah.
until the change. But yeah.
hmm It helps. It really is. It helps to reset. Or sometimes I will walk, and just walk until I calm down. I'll be able to walk like 3 miles and I even know it just because I'm pissed and I need to calm down. But yeah, showering definitely is
Yeah.
a good one. Meditation too, just something about quieting the mind. People are so resistant to silence. I think a lot of people have a hard time with silent meditation because they can't get out of their head, but it's not about getting out of your head. It's just about being present with yourself and your breath and your own thoughts. That's it. That's it. And without any
Yeah.
other distractions, without trying to control it, just being there in the moment. So once you accept that, something happens in your brain. Literally, it's scientific. I can't explain it. I'm not a scientist, but y'all can Google it. Something literally happens in your brain. Some type of chemicals go up and are released, and it takes you to like another level on your brain. Like your brain waves begin to change, and it resets your chemistry. So, that's why meditation, especially silent meditation, is so pivotal. That's why, monks seem so ethereal because they take a lot of time in silence, solitude, and meditation. And it does help you connect more with God or your higher self or your inner being. Um, so yeah, those are good things. One question that I do have for you, or I guess it's more of like a statement and a question. So you mentioned like you have this thing where you hate being mad, you hate being sad. I feel like that's a Capricorn thing. I think we don't like to give anyone the power to say that they upset us. So if you piss me off and I'm mad at myself for even allowing you to piss me off. And that further makes me mad and I don't want to be mad. Or like, if you have hurt my feelings and I'm sad, I put myself in a situation to be vulnerable for you, to allow you to hurt my feelings. And now I'm mad at myself for letting you hurt my feelings, and my feelings is hurt. So
Right.
it's just, I think it's like a control thing for us. We don't like to give
Be
other
out of
people that
control of our feelings.
control. Right.
Yeah.
It's like if I cause my own hurt feelings, I can sit with it. If I'm mad at myself, I can sit with it. If it comes external, I don't want to deal with it because now I'm on a whole nother level. I'm on a whole other level. I feel like that's
No, for
some Capricorn shit.
real.
And like I've had to kind of check myself about that because what happens is you suppress so many things and then it adds up and like every little thing will start triggering you. And then you're just mad all the time. And you don't know what the fuck to do with that anger. You can't cry because you don't want to let go of the control and release. So it's just like, what do I do? What else do you do but escape? Like, so I think like that's something that comes with shadow work and self-awareness, because if you are just unaware, you don't even realize that you're doing it. Like you just, it's almost automatic.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for real. It's like, yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy. It's just like you can't like you say, it just be automatic. Like, and I've become better with it, like walking away or like going to wherever gonna give me peace, even if it's just walking out the door for a second, because like I don't know, just going there all the way with somebody like I don't know, I just rather my day not be ruined like that, because I be feeling like once I get mad, it's be so hard to calm down. So like, why even just go there? Like, why go there? It'd be hard. It'd be too hard to calm down.
It takes too much energy. Too much energy.
I be
Okay.
ready to go to sleep.
Yes, absolutely. If I'm really
Like
pissed
I'm
off and I can't calm down, I'm gonna go to bed. I will wake up tomorrow.
Yep, I gotta start over. I gotta start over. Like, let me go to sleep. Yep. Let me start over.
Mhm.
Like, something ain't right. Start over.
Yep, I'm going to bed.
Mhm.
I just can't do it because I don't. I feel like anger is not an energy that you want to project all the time, nor is it an energy that you just want to sit and just be in. Like sometimes you have to but it's so exhausting, especially when you're mad at somebody else and you don't have control over how they may respond or what they may do, and their response is not aligning with what it is that you want in your mind. That shit is tiring as hell. Like, I'm going to bed. I'm going to bed, and I would get up and deal with it in the morning. I'm gonna pray about it. Like,
redo button.
yeah, definitely going to bed. I don't know if you do that, put in the comments, because me, I'm going to bed.
I am too. I'm going to sleep. Like, let me go to sleep, and I'll wake up in a better mood though. But let me go to sleep. Like,
I'm going to bed, or I'm
a
going to
different
work.
person. It'd be
It's one
hard
of
to
the
work,
two.
man. So yeah,
It is hard to work mad, but that's the easiest thing for me to like focus on instead of my anger. Is work.
yeah.
I don't know why, but
I think I could work in any emotion except maybe mad. I can work in any emotion, sad, frustrated, but mad is kind of hard because like that's probably the hardest emotion to work in.
I can't work when I'm sad.
I be ready to quit it all. I be to quit my job.
Fuck all this shit.
For real, like I can go deal with this right now. But yeah.
Okay, were there any particular challenges or like any resistance that you faced when you were diving into your shadow self and first trying to come out of your addiction completely? And if so, how did you overcome them?
Yes. In the midst of coming out of my addiction and going through shadow work, I learned that I have abandonment issues. And that was partly, I guess, part of my addiction as well, but I knew it stemmed back from like childhood and being adopted. Like I didn't find out I was adopted till I was 18 in college. So my freshman year of college is when I found out. And so growing up, I didn't even know what abandonment was, but I know I had those feelings. I know that like when I was a child, the parent that I had up until 7 years old is not my parent now. So the parent I had up until 7 years old is actually my sister now. So it was a lot of changes in my childhood that like now, even like in my shadow work, I hate changes. Like I hate change in any shape or form. So it was really like me realizing that I hate change. And my abandonment stem from like that's like my abandonment issues is not something that I can control. It's not something that was my fault. Um, a lot of things that affected me like were out of my control. And so in my shadow work, um, it made me realize I was blaming myself for a lot of things, and it carried over into adulthood and like I guess in my intimate relationship as far as um not being able to walk away or holding on to exes or friends or people that just because I wanted to keep that connection forever, like not like really not caring if it was toxic, not really just it was just a loyalty thing to me. And so my perspective and my actions on how I showed loyalty or why I was loyal was very distorted because of my abandonment and because of me hating changes. So in my spiritual journey, those were things I had to learn in my shadow work that I didn't know why I was acting the way I was acting, or why I couldn't take people walking out my life, or why I would never walk out of somebody's life, like why I would never break up with people. You know what I mean? I would let them break up with me, but I would never break up with them. And so it was just like certain things that I learned doing shadow work that it taught me it's okay to let toxic relationships go. It's okay to like relationships don't have to hurt, like whether it's family, friends, or loved ones, like it don't have to hurt. You know what I mean? Like that's not what comes with all these relationships that I had in my life. So it made me in the midst of shadow work, it made me find my voice and stand up for myself and not let me know that I can control the outcome of things, and the outcomes didn't have to control me. I didn't have to just go with the flow of everything. Like I really had to say so, and how I feel, how people treat me, whether I want them in my life, and um, how I deal with my feelings.
Boundaries.
Yeah, I'm still working on that part, but it's becoming easier because I guess you know how they say, like, you don't know what you won't accept until you know what you do want to accept. Like I would accept anything or wouldn't ask for anything just because, oh, I don't want to be a problem, or but I would be the person that would do anything. So it's kind of like I didn't really have no expectations for people around me, but I want to always live up to their expectations. So I think now more so it's like, all right, I do have expectations of people, and it's okay for me to have expectations of you. And it's okay for me to realize when you let me down. Like, you know what I mean? It's okay for me to accept it and to understand that, and not just go with your flow or make excuses for people that be knowing what they're doing.
Woo. Yes. That's a whole word. Somebody needed to hear
And it's so crazy because it stems from my mom. Like it stems from like it just made me um, realized just the toxic relationships that I had been living with, that I was born in, that I literally thought was normal. You know what I mean? And so, like, even though I was born in a church, went to church, it was a lot of toxicity going on around there, like in the church, out the church, in my house, out the house, like. And so there's a lot of things like even coming out with my sexuality, like, that's against the norm, like, that's I'm considered the black sheep of the family, but also me coming out, I was like still being a people pleaser because I knew that my sexuality wasn't accepted. So let me do anything else you need me to do to be accepted, or you know what I mean, to hear maybe some kind words. But now, like, no, you just accept me for who I am because I know I'm a good person. So you can either like understand me or misunderstand me, but I'm confident in who I am. And it shows in the people that love me. Like my kids love me, older folks love me. I don't really care about our generation, but kids and babies and old folks love me. And so that's all that really matters to me.
I mean, that's fair. I just, I feel like people are so used to using people as coping mechanisms that they don't really know how to love people anymore. And like with the background that you have and the way that you grew up, and then in your adulthood, that most of your upbringing was pretty much a lie. And then losing the one thing that you betted your whole life on, and then falling into addiction, and then going through all these, I'm sure, crazy toxic relationships with these women. Because let's just be honest, addiction and pain and emotional abandonment plus lesbianism is a recipe for disaster.
It really
Like,
is. It really
it
is. Like
absolutely
you setting
is.
yourself up for failure. Like yes,
Yes.
I did. I did. It was a lot of self-inflicted wounds. But
But not even totally self-inflicted. I think, you just weren't self-aware at that time. And it's okay, that's a part of the journey, becoming self-aware, but it's hard to love somebody else when you don't properly love yourself. It's hard to believe in somebody else when you don't fully believe in and support yourself. And if you don't have parents, if the people who brought you into this world abandon you. They're not there. You don't really know anything about them. They never tried to reach out, and if they did, it was far and few in between. And then you have some toxic shit also going on in the household that you grew up in, that you don't feel accepted, you don't feel appreciated, you don't feel loved, you feel like you're inferior pretty much. You're going to project that into every relationship that you go into. And so I want you to talk about recognizing that pattern and how it changed the way that you navigate relationships, or maybe it even completely shut you off from relationships so that you can focus on yourself. Either way, I want you to talk about that.
Well, it kind of let me know, or it really like a lot of like, I guess my past relationships were mirrors for me to kind of recognize in myself that like, all right, like your upbringing was toxic. It was like a lot of things that was kind of like just swept under the rug. And so that's kind of how, it wasn't a lot of apologizing or healthy communication. Everything was just hush hush. And so and so that's how I dealt with my relationships. Like it was some of my relationships, I had secrets. I like probably, just kept things to myself or didn't express myself or kind of swept things under the rug. And, I didn't need an apology from anybody. Like I probably apologized, but I didn't expect an apology from anything or anybody because I'm like, I can handle my feelings. I can get over this. Like I can get over everything else. And so it really was a mirror for me to know like exactly what you just said. Like I was loving people more than I was loving myself. And I wasn't gonna get nowhere doing that, no matter how hard I tried or how much I put into it. Like it wasn't meant to work or it wasn't going to work if I didn't know how to love myself, if I didn't put that work into myself. And in the past, I've learned like in my life, like I want to say like since basketball ended, I just have like, it took until this year that I feel like I was just surviving, like not living. And living in survival mode all these years and in relationships, and it showed. It literally like showed like you don't care from one day to the next, or you don't even know what your future looks like. So I feel like this year I'm not surviving anymore. I'm actually living because I'm actually putting in the work and I'm like seeing the fruits of my labor because I'm putting like I'm watering myself, you know what I'm saying? So um everything happened for a reason. And I used to always be like, dang, I wish I knew then what I knew now. But what would be the beauty of the now if I knew it then? Like, what would be, like, I wanted to be substantial. Like, I wanted to sustain everything that I get now. And so if I knew it then, it probably wouldn't all be worth it.
Definitely all comes full circle as part of the journey. Um, what advice would you give to other people who may be struggling with addiction, who are seeking some type of spiritual guidance, transformation, healing? Like, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that whether it's God, the universe, whoever it may be, but find a higher power because it's needed. Addiction or not, but definitely with addiction, you need it. Like you have to have it. It's no surviving without it. It's yeah, it's damn near impossible without it. And not just actually just knowing there is a God or but actually believing, like actually putting in the work, believing. Like that's a relationship that works two ways as well. Like same way you put into your relationships here, like you put your relationship into your spirituality, like it's a two-way street. So the only way is through your spirituality is actually like taking the time to be like surrender.
Definitely
Surrender
surrender and do the work. Okay. Doing the
daily.
work is getting you closer to God, and you wake up every day and make a decision to do the work because the work never ends. And what is the work? It's the work of self-awareness, self-knowledge, and evolution. The closer and more aware you are of yourself, the better you can be, not only to yourself, but to other people. And that creates a better world around you. That's what we are here to do. That's essentially the journey that we see Christ go through in the Bible. That's what it's about. So, whether you want to be Christian, whether you want to be Muslim, whether you want to be Buddhist, whether you don't want to believe in a particular religion and you just want to pray to spirit, divine source, whatever the case may be, you have to acknowledge that there is something out there that is providing you grace and mercy every day. Every single day, you have to have faith in that. And with that faith comes obedience, comes consistency, comes discipline, because you surrender not even to what spirit wants. On one level, it is what spirit wants, but you surrender to becoming a higher version of yourself. And that is what you are essentially meant to do. That's what the spiritual journey is about. That's what our lives are about. It's just a lot of us have become distracted with the materialism and consumption, and we've lost our way. I'm not saying that we shouldn't indulge in those things, they're part of our human experience, but we're here to evolve and die. That's the only thing that we can take with us is our experiences and our lessons. That's it. Everything else gets left behind. So, we have to put ourselves into a position where we're willing to accept that, lean into it, and push through. Okay, push through. I don't know what happened with Woo. I had a couple more questions for her, but I'm gonna go ahead and I guess wrap this up with a postcard from Spirit. I feel like it's been about an hour with you guys. I do want to do a couple of more interviews with people, well, 3 more specifically. I want to do a total of 4. I may extend it just depending on how these go, but I want to do some enlightened investment series on addiction and overcoming addiction, tapping into forgiveness, because that's a huge part of overcoming addiction. That was going to be my next question for her. And just leaning into your spiritual journey and how it helps you to find clarity, to find momentum, to stay focused. So I will leave you all with that. Let's go ahead and get a postcard from Spirit out. Oh, I think we got Woo back.
Sorry, I don't know what happened. Internet.
So I've got a few more questions for you. One, can you describe the significance of forgiveness in your spiritual growth and healing from addiction? Like, what role has forgiveness played, not only in just helping you to gain momentum and clarity, but just really healing and providing almost like a spiritual hug for you? Because I feel like when we get to a point of forgiveness, it's even within just forgiving ourselves, it's like something unlocks. It's like, when nobody ever says they're proud of you, and then one person looks at you and says, I'm so proud of you. Like, there's something that happens in your body when people say stuff like that. You haven't heard it. It's like you've been longing to hear it. And I feel like the same thing happens with forgiveness, whether you're forgiving somebody else or forgiving yourself after harboring things for such a long time. So talk about that. Like, what is the significance of forgiveness in your spiritual journey and in your journey of healing from addiction and in the process of recovery?
Forgiveness was the hardest, like forgiving myself. Like that was, I don't know, like it was before I was able to forgive myself, it felt like torture, honestly, like reliving things daily or just your mind constantly like being disappointed in yourself and the decisions that you made and the outcomes that occurred because of the decisions you made in my addiction. Like that's a that's really a day-to-day thing that I'm still working on, because even sometimes on my best days, my mind will go back to the days in my addiction or the things that I lost because of my addiction. And it it it's still hard. It's still hard because now that I'm sober, it's like like I didn't think about being sober when I was in my addiction. I didn't think I could be sober in my addiction. So you look back on things or years and you be like, if I was sober, like could I have changed things? And it's really things you can't change because what's done is done. So forgiving myself is it's something that keeps me pushing, because every day you wake up, you have a chance to become your higher self. You have a chance to make a change. You have the chance to create a different future for yourself. And so that's a blessing about waking up each day or every day being a blessing, is because every day I do forgive myself. It's a every day I fight to stay sober. Every day I um forgive myself. And so I would say it's like number one on the list. Well, number two on the list after really just being connected with a higher power, forgiveness, and even like you look for forgiveness in people that you've hurt. You know what I mean? Like I never went to like a AA or a 12 step, but I did buy the book. And so reading it and the 12 steps being in there and you having to ask people for forgiveness, or, just realizing the people that you hurt is like most of the people that you hurt were the people that you probably loved the most, but didn't, like, your addiction make you a different person. Like your addiction literally like like make you a person that you probably don't even recognize. So um if you're lucky enough in your addiction to have people or family or loved ones that have unconditional love for you, you're blessed. If you're not, then you always have time to ask for forgiveness or forgive yourself, but like find your tribe that works for you and while you're sober, because 9 times out of 10, the tribe that you had in your addiction may not be the tribe that you're gonna have when you're sober. Even friends, even the connections you have with family members, like when you get sober, your perspective changes. What was probably attractive to you is not attractive anymore, or what you used to want to do, you don't even want to do anymore. So it's like I'm learning who I am now, because for so long in my addiction, I I I didn't know who I was. So learning who I am while I'm sober, I love it. And it's easier for me to forgive myself, because each day I get stronger, and each day um, it's easier for me to forgive myself.
That makes
So
sense.
forgiveness is up there. What'd
Definitely
you
gotta
say?
forgive yourself. I said it definitely is a day-to-day thing, but forgiving yourself is key. Making amends is definitely key. Some people won't have it in their hearts to forgive you. You shouldn't take that personally. It's just about you presenting a different version of yourself for them to be able to forgive. If they choose to, great. If not, at least you offered them that. that piece of yourself that you felt like you owed them.
Right.
I
'Cause
think
it's like a
that
burden that's off your shoulder. Honestly, like it's like you probably had a chip on your shoulder, but every day you're chipping away at that because you're actually like trusting yourself. Like that, I think that's like one of the biggest things with sobriety is like in your addiction, you couldn't even trust yourself. So how could you expect people to trust you? And how could like it's hard not trusting yourself. You know what I mean? So trusting yourself to do what you're gonna say, trusting yourself to be who you want to show up as, like that, and being present in the midst of anything that's thrown at you is like the most rewarding feeling because like you can actually like say like, oh, I went through that, I did that, like I'm stronger because I went through it sober and I didn't have anything to numb it, or I felt all of it, and like you're proud of yourself.
Mhm.
Like so that guilt, it does turn it does turn in your favor to where you become proud of yourself, and you forgive yourself, and you can walk your confidence like this increases each day. Your confidence just grows. So
Yes. Yes. Confidence is key. Confidence is key because I think a big part of addiction is self-doubt and low self-esteem. And it's just like we would all love to say, oh my God, I'm so confident. I love myself. I'm beautiful. I'm amazing. I'm wonderful. I'm divine, all of the things. But when you're in the bed by yourself at night and it's dark and nobody is around to see you, you're crying yourself to sleep, or you're saying how you feel like you're not good enough, you're never going to be this, or you're never going to be that, you're never going to have this, you're never going to have that. And then what do? You have a drink. What do? You smoke a plant. What do? You
mhm,
pill. Right?
right.
And so having the confidence to know who you are and know your character outside of what you may have or the status that you may hold is key in maintaining your sobriety, in my opinion, because it keeps you whole, or you don't feel like you need to distract yourself. You don't feel like you need to add in
Mhm.
that. So that makes sense. Two more questions and then we can wrap up. Um, you had mentioned a little part of this already. You said that, when you get sober, you have to cut people off and the people that you hang around will change. So, how do you maintain balance between your spiritual practices and your journey of sobriety and just the practical aspects of everyday life? Like, have you had to set some new boundaries? Have you had to cut people off? Are there things that you don't expose yourself to that you once did? Like, what is that looking like for you?
I've actually had to experience all three. I've a really close friend that is just, I don't know, like we're not on the same page as far as like our journey in life. And that was probably a hard thing for me, because she was one of my best friends, but in actuality, it's just it wouldn't work. Like it won't work. So I had to experience cutting a friend off that was very close to me, and and also I guess being sober, it kind of also like my diet has changed, like the things I eat, because like when you're drinking or whatever, you really don't care what you eat. You really don't care, like you just eating probably so you can drink, or you're not eating because you choose to drink. But it's like I'm more like intentional about what I put in my mouth, what I eat, like um I eat breakfast, even though I've never been a breakfast person, but I eat breakfast as far as like I eat fruit, but I'm still not a breakfast person. But it's just really like, and even with my spiritual journey and being sober, um, it changed. Like my spiritual journey became stronger when I was sober because I was, like I said, like I was more conscious to wake up and pray, or just, you're just more organized, like more structured, and like you know how you want things to go. So I've experienced a lot of changes. I've had to set boundaries, including with my family. It's people in my family that I can't fool with, and that's just solely me being sober. And we just don't mesh. Like I can't do it. I can't tolerate. My tolerance has changed for a lot of things. My tolerance is low for things that I once could probably like my favorite saying used to be cool, calm, and collected. Well, now no, I can't tolerate it. I can't do it. I can't sit there and act like I can ignore it. Like, no, I gotta get up, I gotta go, I gotta get out this place. Like whatever it takes to just get away from that, or whatever that's not agreeing with me. And I'm more self-aware to know what's not agreeing with me. And I think that's come with my spirituality and being sober. Like before, I didn't really know what I didn't agree with. There was a lot of settings that I could sit in, and like I really didn't care what happened, or but now things bother. I don't want to say it bothered me, but I know like when something just not sitting right with me, like it's not. So I could remove myself a lot easier, and it don't take much for me to realize I need to remove myself, or I need to remove you, or like, yeah. And that's all of that has like changed being sober. Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay, my last question. If you had to leave someone who is just like at rock bottom in their addiction, you had to leave them with any last words of insight or any last lesson experience that you had that really put things into perspective for you to really like shake them back into reality without just telling them you need to quit because everybody knows they need to quit. That's not enough, right? What would you say to them? Like, what would you tell them? Would you tell them about a certain experience? Would you tell them about a lesson that you learned? Would you quote a Bible scripture to them? Like, what would you say?
I would tell them that I love them, and like they're valuable. Like they mean a lot to me. Like you are loved, and if nobody told you like that they love you, I love you, and because I love you, like you can make it. Like this may be your worst day, but like your latter days will be greater than your past. So you at rock bottom. It ain't no farther you can go down. So the day you choose to pick yourself up will be the day that'll change your life forever. And I love you. Mainly I love you though.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. I think a lot of people need to hear that. I think a lot of people need to hear that. Not conviction, not like advice, just you are loved. And
Yeah. I think a lot of people don't know that in their addiction, they don't hear that. They don't know that. They don't know it, and they don't probably hear it. They just hear about their addiction, and that you can't see your way out with by criticism or anything like that. It's no threatening nobody in addiction, because it's like they at the worst already. So just tell them they really just need your love.
mhm, love, love is very powerful. Love and prayer. Love and prayer. I'm gonna leave y'all with that. Love and prayer is just a powerful recipe for change, transformation, healing. With those two things, you can really do a lot. I always end with a postcard from Spirit. This is for you. This is not for the audience. Although whoever this resonates with, this definitely can be for you. But y'all know these are for my interviewees. So yours says, "Dear you, There's always more than one side to an argument, two sides, if not more, to every story, and hundreds of ways to be right, be different, be at odds, and so on. Today, we suggest that instead of looking for differences, you find a meeting place of agreement and approach this experience with understanding and compassion. Seek common ground to understand how another person thinks or how an alternate plan may be laid. Stay out of judgment too. Observe, discern, but accept that others have different stories, experiences, and journeys, and some people might refuse to remain open to another's point of view. No matter what, you've been presented with a great opportunity to explore a new way of doing things once common ground is reached. You're attracting people and situations that enrich your life and bring you wonderful things to learn. We love you so much. So
Yeah,
that
I
is for
like
you.
that.
Very fitting. I definitely will
Right
send
on
you a
time.
photo. Mhm. When I end this, but thank you guys for tuning in when y'all do watch this. Make sure that you comment on the video to join the conversation. Make sure you subscribe and like the video to put me up in the YouTube algorithm so that I can keep giving you guys these beautiful episodes. And if you know anyone who is struggling with addiction in the process of recovery, or maybe they've been in recovery for some time and they would like to tell their story, please have them reach out to me. This is a new segment of Enlightened Investments that I am adding in. Thank you for being the first person to share their story on addiction, but I do want to do a lot more of these talks because people are living in shame. They're living in guilt. They're living in the dark. They don't feel like anybody can relate to them. And that's just not true. It's just not. Like, it's just not true.
Right.
So I want to bring it more to the surface and the forefront. I want people to be able to release those shackles of shame, of guilt, of just feeling like they're not seen, nobody cares about them, and this is something that they have to struggle with in the dark, because at the end of the day, everybody else has their own problems and they don't want to be a burden. You're not a burden, you're human. You're going through what we're all going through, a process of evolution. You just so happen to fall victim to a substance, and you're coming out of that victimization and reclaiming your victory. And I think that's beautiful. So I want to tell more of your stories. Please reach out to me so that we can set that up. And I don't know if you want these people to call you Woo or Ivory, but you know you was introduced to me as Woo. So I just, it's just
Well,
it's just in
no,
my brain. If you prefer, when I upload the episode, I can definitely put Ivory in the title. So that way, at least like when they comment, they have Ivory and it's not in their head like it's in my head. But if you guys have
I
any
got
questions for her, if you want to reach her, she's gonna provide her
you. No,
social media, or
yeah.
she'll respond to the comments in the comment section. Did you have any other last words or anything that you wanted to share with the people?
I just want to thank you for your platform. This is my first time doing anything like this or even speaking out about my addiction. And it's very healing, I must say, to even just talk. And thank you for the platform. Thank you for listening to me. And thank you just for giving me the opportunity. It means a lot.
Of course. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a good rest of your evening, and I will see you guys on the next episode of Enlightened Investments.
All right.